Hi everyone!
Hi,
It's Miri and
David.
yeah, we're just making a normal video for now because I feel like many people can benefit from also a different perspective than mine. In this case, my partner's, the love of my life, and also a male's perspective on things, and of someone who has never had any restrictive eating disorder, which is also very valuable. So
Yeah.
David was the one who was actually one of the most supportive and encouraging, and also encouraging people in my recovery, because he showed me how it is when you don't have any mental problems with food, and if you have just like food is just food and no more, no less. And so I thought we just respond to a question today. It's a question from Sarah from my German channel, and I'll quickly translate the question. I'm in a dilemma, I think you said dilemma. I miss dairy only, so I guess no other animal products, but my feelings of guilt are so high that I should only be vegetarian, if at all. And actually I want to stay vegan, so I'm confused. And so I think this person has also written other comments in which she says similar things, just like bottom line feeling, oh, I miss this and I feel mentally restricted because I cannot have this, but I also can't ethically. I remember her also writing things about ethics. It's just like I can't in my heart, and I feel very much with this because it's something I have struggled with very much.
Yeah.
And David was actually, I'm thinking the only person, no, well, the only real person. There were many persons online, who helped me kind of opening up to new perspectives, but you were someone who was always around, and also as a vegan, that was also very special because you were encouraging me not to be vegan as a vegan, which seems to be contradictory, but believe it or not, as a vegan you can also love humans just as much as the animals.
So you want me to talk about this question, right?
Yes, because I think other people can benefit from similar things that you told me then. So let's just play the scenario like when it was like when I had these struggles and I was communicating them to you. I was like, I can't. I feel like I have to for my mental health. I feel like I have to. And mind you, I really want to say it's not like the normal. There's many ex-vegans saying, I just don't want anymore. It's so important for my mental health. It's just, I just really want everyone to know it's 18 years of hard struggle. And so I just after 8 years of being vegan, I just got brutally honest with myself and felt these exact things and communicated them to you in this case, and also to some other people. And what were the things that you said to me then?
Yeah, basically to sum it all up in one sentence and to give like the whole answer straight away is just do it. Do it, eat animal products, and put yourself and your own well-being higher than the well-being of the animals.
Okay, how can you say that as a vegan? No,
I know.
Yeah, that's also
So,
what I asked you.
Yeah, for me the reason or the most important thing was to see you suffering, basically. And I couldn't see any other solution to this. So I said, you have to eat the animal products. And
how was it, sorry to interrupt, but how was it that you saw the necessity, like how was it that you believed that it is necessary for me to do? Because you knew, like, physically I don't have to. Physically it's actually maybe some, or not maybe, but it's something that you don't support in general.
Yeah. So the main concept behind it is to face your own fears, like to be confronted with your fears and then face them and ultimately overcome them. And because I realized that you had developed a fear of eating those foods, it was not only the ethical reasons or like benefits for your health, but you actually developed a fear of eating those kind of foods. And this really, it messed your life up. And you can't just say, oh, I'm getting rid of fear and that's it.
I'm just going to do it.
I'm just pretending, or I'm trying mentally to get rid of the fear. This will not work. So you actually have to overcome the fear. And so I'm not a psychologist or anything, but I think the only way is to really face the fears. Yeah, just do what you are afraid about. And realize that it's maybe not as bad as you thought it would be. And there was exactly what then happened to you, right? Because when you started to actually eat animal products, at first it was like really scary to you, and then after,
and relieving at the same time.
And relieving because you were, I guess, craving those foods also.
Yeah, it totally was. Not because there's animal products in there, but because the fear foods are most of the times not vegan. Like, you know, I wanted to have all of the different flavors of chips, for example.
And in the very first days, it was really, you were afraid, you were fearful, you were sometimes like shocked even eating those kind of foods. But over the time, like a few, let's say, weeks, it became normal, I'd say, for you. And not after a few weeks, I think, but a couple months. Yeah. Okay, a few more weeks then. But like after a certain amount of time, you gained confidence in eating those foods, and it was not a real challenge for you anymore. So you overcame the fear of eating it. It was just like, okay, you've proven to yourself you can eat those things. Yeah. You are not afraid anymore, and the most important thing is that your body can actually deal with it. It might not be the very best, like 100% optimum for your health.
Yeah, but the question is more ethically. You know, I think. I suppose. Yeah.
But yeah, it might not be like the very best you can do, like in terms of your health, but your body can like handle it, it can cope with it, and you're still alive. And that's a very important thing, which one needs to realize, because then I think it's also that makes it easier, in my perception, to actually do the steps of eating those products. Because if you already know, okay, if I eat this or that, and then my body, like physically or from a health perspective, will like be destroyed, and it will go like downwards all the time, then there's no real reason for doing it, because like it's like hurting yourself.
Yeah, totally, I agree, totally. And I would even add that I had the feeling it really doesn't harm me in any way. I felt like I got healthier by eating them. Of course, it can purely just be because I just mentally and physically recovered, and it just helped me to eat a lot more calories and to really eat the fear foods. And so, yes, that's one part. So I would not necessarily say that it, it hurt my body, but I had to do it. I would say anything that I ate and any fear food that I ate actually made me more healthy overall. And but I just want to stay at the ethical side of the question.
Okay.
Because
I think it's the ethical side always says, and I mean, I did also choose to not eat animal products, and I'm still convinced for myself that's the best thing I can do, and it's not only for health reasons, but I'm also convinced that it's ethically better to not eat the animal products if you have the choice.
Me too.
If it's your own free choice, then
not the eating disorders.
Yes. Then it's. I think I'm convinced that it's better to do so.
And
but
any single bit of the eating disorder playing in this kind of choice is a no-go, in my opinion.
Yeah. But here's the point: if you are not free to choose, and if you struggle with an eating disorder, chances are very high that you are not free to choose, but the eating disorder in the back of your head chooses for you and says, oh, there are ethical reasons. You shouldn't eat this because it's unethical to eat it. And so you go all the way in and don't eat it, thinking it's because of ethical reasons, but...
And it is.
It is, but it's also mixed with the eating disorder telling you not to do so.
Yeah, that's how it
like
was
not
with me.
to eat animal products. And
that's
in
how
this
you
case,
justify.
right, and in this case, I'd say your choice is not free. It's not a free choice.
And then is it really a choice then?
Yeah.
Like, is it a choice then?
Yeah, that's the definition of the word choice. But then you're not completely free in your own decision because something else, in this case, it's the eating disorder or the thoughts from the eating disorder you have, is driving your decision making. And so it's not 100% ethical. It might be 90% ethical, but the rest of the 10% are enough to say you're not free in your own decision. And that's why I'm convinced that you have to overcome this by eating animal products. And it doesn't change your heart. I mean, if you don't eat animal products out of ethical reasons, and those are like true ethical reasons, then it wouldn't change your heart. I mean,
the other 90% of ethical reasons are also true ethical reasons. Yes,
and
just they are not standing alone. That's the decisive factor.
Yeah, and just imagine once you overcome your eating disorder and you got completely free from it, how much more powerful your personality is and how much more you can achieve in life. And this ultimately also leads to like
a better planet.
A better planet, yeah. And just, we're not saying that you have to eat animal products for the rest of your life or eat animal products only.
At all, like the goal is not to be extreme.
Yeah, the only thing
for
is
everyone leaving me carnivore comments.
To overcome the fear, to not freak out when you have when you go out with friends and have some food and there's no vegan choice, to not freak out, but to say, okay, this is an exception. I'm doing this because otherwise my eating disorder voice will freak out or get louder again. Yeah,
but in recovery I would go radical. I had to go radical. You also get this non-vegan food into your house.
Yeah, because, in recovery that's true.
Yes,
but
like,
I was talking about like later.
Long term,
yeah. Then it's just, you can be like 99% of the time.
I would say
vegan.
when you're fully recovered. That's when you're like, in recovery is different than when you're fully recovered. When you don't have any fears at all around any type of food. Whether you consider it a food ethically or not, just take it as a food from society. if you don't have any fears anymore, you can do whatever you want, and then you can. That's what you're talking about right now.
Yeah.
And that's the only, I think, the only real true veganism, or like from a heart that, I mean, anything else is dying for the animals, literally. Like, that's how it was for me. I want to ask you two things. They're very relevant. When could it be that the approach I took, because you knew about it, you also read about it, you also educated yourself on the migration theory, the book that I'm translating now into German, Tabitha Farrar approach, for those who want to watch her channel. Could it be that you had a confidence in the approach, so that you kind of understood in your mind, okay, this is not forever? Did it help you to know the approach, that this would be an extreme seeming, radical seeming phase that will pass, maybe sooner or later? It could also be for a long time. And then, you know, because as a vegan, I mean, it hurts your heart to see it. And it seems, I also felt uncomfortable. And I think sometimes it was also uncomfortable for you to see me eating the big steak, you know, that, you know.
Well, the most uncomfortable thing seeing you eating the steak was to know that you're having a hard time because you're challenged at the moment. It wasn't like seeing the steak itself.
Okay, but you know, it also was challenging. I mean, secondary.
Yes.
But so did it help you to know, well, because that's also a fear of many people, well, but then, you know, I can never restrict again, and that means I can never be vegan again, and it will always be this way, that I'm only like eating dairy and or meat and or whatever, and not care anymore. But that's not how it is. And that's also something that you also helped me understand when I had these fears, because I felt so powerless around these foods. They had all the power, I felt. Why? Not because the foods are bad or because I'm addicted to the foods, but because I restricted them all of the years before. And so, but that is something I could not believe. I thought, this is not going to go away. Well, now it is gone. Yeah. But so you were the one telling me, well, this, you know, I believe in this. I believe in this approach. It makes the most sense to me. And that's how you gave me confidence.
It's a combination out, like, what made me confident about it was the combination of this approach, the approach of Tabitha Farrar, or the migration theory approach, that once you reach a place with an abundance of food, then the situation will normalize again. It makes just does make sense. It's common sense.
Like in your case, like
it's the same. Like, just think about it. If you're thirsty, like in the hot summer day, you've been doing some sports, and I don't know, you ran out of water, and then you become thirsty, and it can happen that you become very, very thirsty, and actually a little bit dehydrated. And once you get the chance to drink water again, like you come home or go to the supermarket, you can buy a bottle of water, then you start drinking and you're like rushing it down. But then
you're gulping it like a camel.
But then you stop suddenly because you have enough, and the feeling will not last like for the next 5 days or 5 years or whatever. There's a point where you have enough, and then the situation normalizes again. Then your feeling of thirst is just normal again. You're not thirsty anymore. But so
that was with mild dehydration. So, you know, for someone who has done restricted for years, this will take longer.
Yes, of course, but eventually it will normalize again. And I think I also told you, and I like this picture of a pendulum. Once it's like put to one side, and you just let it loose, it will swing back and forth. And so ultimately it will also swing to the underside, beyond the center position. But then it will just slowly find its way back, and it stays in the middle.
On its own.
On its own, yeah.
We are not forcing it.
In nature, I think this is a general concept of physics in general, that everything tries or wants to be in equilibrium.
Let us do a different separate video on that, because you have a lot really great things about it. And the last
But this
thing,
was just answering your question, like how it made me like this approach, and also the image of a pendulum made me confident in thinking that this would be successful.
So you just basically had more confidence into the approach in the beginning than I had.
Yeah, of
And
course,
you
because
just,
I was able to think rationally, because and you were basically not able to. So your thoughts were like fear driven.
So in the end, we could say, or you could see it like that, pretty much, that not being vegan for me allows me long term to be more vegan, like for the right reasons, like more than anything else. Like if I had never gone through this non-vegan phase, I would not be where I am now, and I would never even have the chance to get to healthy veganism on all levels out of only the right motivation. You could say that, right?
Yep.
Something I just realized. Okay, and the very last thing, I know we want to come to an end, but you said you saw me suffering, and that is something where you that it just was clear to you that I have to go this way, and I have to go a non-vegan way for some time in order to heal. So, well, from the outside, like most of the people would say, like, well, she's not suffering. The animals obviously are suffering more. Like, they are dying. Like, look at the documentaries, and believe me, I've watched enough documentaries, and they break my heart to the fullest. And so, you know, I mean, I'm a privileged girl, woman in the Western world. I am fine, people would say, you know, and so how do you justify it? I think that's also something in this question. Okay, someone ring the dog. So, yeah, I actually, egal, wir machen einfach weiter. So, yeah, I mean, I'm fine. Like, how you said you saw me suffering. So what was it for you that made you think enough with the suffering?
So suffering can be or can happen on very different levels. From the outside, like your body, like just your physical appearance, I also would agree that you were not suffering. You didn't have any like scars, wounds, or
but what
blood
no one
running.
sees except
What's inside?
you. No. And also, like, I didn't have my period. I had messed up cycles. I was losing my hair. I had all of these digestive. Like, I did suffer a lot. Physically.
But it was not obvious for people.
Yes,
from
and
the
it's
outside.
not.
As you said, you were like your body was still suffering, or not working or functioning as it should, and also your mental struggles, which people from the outside obviously can't see, but we share life together, we live together, so I knew about it. And on the other hand, like the animals, and I totally agree that they do suffer a lot. Their suffering is physically. They are beaten. They are. I don't want to go into details.
Horrible.
This is, of course, it's physically, and I'm also convinced that for them it is also mentally. Even though there is a difference between humans and animals, but they can still suffer and feel pain and loss and all this stuff. So if you put it on a level, it's hard to say who is suffering more, because it's a different suffer, I'd say. But and I don't want to answer this question, who's suffering more, but only just the fact that I saw you suffering mentally, but also, as we said, a bit physically, which was not obvious from the outside.
I'm a valuable animal, like.
This is totally enough. So if you are suffering mentally, this is enough to justify your right.
It's not selfish, like it's natural.
You have the right, the absolute right to be healthy and to not suffer on a physical basis and to not suffer on a mental basis.
Without shame.
Right.
Yes.
And if you do so, if you suffer and somebody tells you, oh, you're not suffering enough, the animals suffer so much more. Yes. It might be that the animals suffer more, but you have the 100% a right to not suffer. And this is absolutely enough to justify
do not die
actions.
for the animals.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, but also, you know, in terms of being, you do not have to be underweight to suffer and to be unhealthy. And your suffering is enough. There is no such thing as not being sick enough that way. So you actually saw the things. What if you had to name 3 things? What were the things that I was suffering with? What was, because from the outside no one would see.
I'd say your hair loss.
Yeah. Okay, but you can see that kind of.
Yeah, but only if you have like pictures to compare with. If you see a person for the first time, then it's really, I'd say it's hard to see if this person is struggling with hair loss.
You saw all of the tears.
Yes, I know. Yeah. This is one thing. Then the other thing I would say is the like your inner fights of around the topic of eating. Topic of eating. You're like torn. Yeah. Like one day you made this decision, then the other day you were insecure about it again. You did it the other way around, and like,
so unfree.
Yeah.
So chained.
Yeah. This is another thing I would say is suffering.
Would you say it was like tormenting? Like I was tormented because I felt so like.
Yes, and you were a bit like paralyzed, like going back and forth in between those decisions and just not making any progress. Like, it's like you're caught in a prison and you can't escape anymore.
Yeah.
Like a prison of thoughts, a prison of decisions.
Yes. Okay, and the third, do you know the third one? Maybe like things we have experienced together, like things that are supposed to be just happy moments.
Yeah, like you're not being free, like in everyday life. Whenever, like in each and every situation, you were like unrelaxed, like very much. Not only if it comes to the topic of like eating, like going out with friends or with families, and it's not only about the actual act of eating, like sitting at the table, but also spending money, the time you go to bed, like if you meet friends in the evening and then you come back home late. And
you can go to movie nights now. I mean, it's so normal for other people, but it's not for me.
You were so worried on so many levels, because everything like we did or not did, and you were worried about that it will impact your well-being.
Yes. Yeah. Totally. And I want to end this video on this aspect because it fits totally. I just realized that actually I was so much circling around myself and so selfish also, because I felt like I had to. Of course, I was trying to survive. Mentally, that was my only priority. I could not help being obsessive about these things. And now I have the capacity to say, I'd like to go out for a night with friends.
She's even proposing to go out.
Yeah, I want to. I'm telling you, let's go to this and there and everywhere. And it's so new, and that's the real Miri. And it's because I I have capacities for other people now, for other living beings, also for animals, but also for humans. And that's, I think, a nice realization also for this question, because it feels selfish when you have to say, well, I am going to prioritize my holistic health and I have to do this now, temporarily, how I did it. But it will actually get you to the point where you are where you're not selfish anymore, because you don't have to be anymore. Biologically, you can actually become relaxed and not only be about yourself anymore, because you get rid of this selfish, restrictive eating disorder. The eating disorder makes you selfish. So I think that's a nice, something to think about. It's actually going to make you more vegan, more compassionate, more giving, more generous, and that's basically something that will enable you to be vegan for the right reasons and without any wrong reasons.
Yeah. It will just get so much, or become capable of doing so much more.
Okay, let's end it here. A long video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please let us know with a thumbs up. Also, if you want to see David more, also leave us any questions in the comments so we can answer them in the next video.
Yeah, if you want to see me talking more, type in #David. Oh. Let's see who does it.
Okay, let's see. Take it serious. Okay.
I can live with that, totally. Also, if no one types it in.
Yeah, totally, you can. But you always think like, they don't want to hear me anyway. So prove him wrong.
Do it.
Bye.
Ciao.